Hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Anaka. I'm programming director at ALT EFF. I'm so happy to be here to discuss this short film, Searching for Soppu by Ridah Zaman. I'm joined today by the filmmaker Ridah and by the incredible Shaheen Bhatt, who is the co-founder of Eternal Sunshine Productions and a best-selling author in her own right. Lovely to have you both. Over to you, Shaheen.
Thank you so much, Anaka. I'm really happy to be here and discuss this film today. Today I'm on this panel alongside Ridah, an inspiring independent documentary filmmaker from Bangalore. Ridah's work intersects with people, culture, and the environment, and her love for storytelling with its power to transform perspectives drew her to filmmaking. Ridah, I found the film really interesting. I guess I'd really never thought about the concept of foraging in an urban environment at all. I've grown up in a city, and I guess you don't really think about, you only think about the way you get food, which is we're very privileged, in very privileged positions. So my first question to you is, how did you find the story? First of all, how did it occur to you to tell the story, and what motivated you to tell it?
So I graduated from film school last year, and for my thesis, I spent some time in Himachal. That's when I first came across the concept of foraging. And there, I guess it was done, like the way I saw it, it was done more culturally. And I was quite intrigued. And then in Bangalore, I came across this guide called Chasing Soppu. This is the guide. It's published by Dhruti Somesh by Azim Premji University. And I was kind of shocked to see that, so many soppus are found in and around me. I had seen them before, but I didn't know that they were like so significant. That's when ALT EFF and Mongabay put up a post that they're looking for grantees, and I thought it's like a fair shot to pitch the story.
Wow. I guess we were talking about another film earlier, and I think one of the things that occurred to me was the fact that a lot of people making the rules are not affected by the challenges of the people that they're making the rules for. And what struck me while watching your film was that urban environments, forget difficult, it's almost impossible to actually forage, because like you highlighted, green spaces in parks, and even you're not even allowed to forage, along the lake bed. All these spaces are open and they're not open enough, and you have very restricted access. So it's a challenge for people. What was the challenges for you in telling the story?
Honestly, the biggest challenge for me was the climate itself. I had planned to shoot this around March or April of this year, and this year has been really dire. Bangalore didn't have its pre-monsoon showers. It was, I think, the hottest year in decades. It had been like the hottest year in decades, and it hadn't rained. We didn't have water. So the suppos weren't really growing. Women had stopped foraging. Actually, a lot of these older women that did forage migrated back to their hometowns during COVID. And that's when I really learned that this is a dying practice. And yeah, it's a big indicator of climate change, I guess.
Yeah, and I also think it's a big indicator of how we're getting further and further away from, I guess, our roots and our traditions in a way, because in urban centers, again, there's so many degrees of separation between us and where our food is grown. I don't even know where my food comes from on a daily basis. So yeah, I think it also kind of highlights that largely, that if you're not keeping in contact with that, where your food is coming from, eventually, certain things get lost.
Yeah, and I think there was this really beautiful and sad moment in the film where you had the mother and the daughter, I believe, speaking to one another. And she kept referring back to her mother, asking for clarification on what is this Soppu called, or what is that Soppu called. And again, that is something that is oral knowledge that is transmitted from generation to generation, which again is also dying away, I suppose. Yeah, I'm curious to know, what was your like big takeaway from the film or from the process?
So like I said, I did know that foraging as a practice was done culturally, and growing up, we'd hear that this plant is like has medicinal values and is good for this. There is something called the jaundice Soppu, which is boiled and is known to like treat jaundice, right? These are like things you've been hearing, but I think nobody really does like uses them anymore. But the bigger takeaway for me was that these soppos are also like they kind of provide food security to a big section of the society, right? They are available for free. They're extremely nutritious. People that cannot afford vegetables or even your palak or greens like that are able to go forage and cook a wholesome meal without having to spend any money on it. So that was like a big eye-opening moment for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that occurred to me also is that it's also a socio-economic thing, right? In a way, because like you highlighted, they can't, for them, it's you're saving 20 rupees, which is a lot. And you know, it's kind of looked down in urban centers to, like you wouldn't allow somebody to walk into a park and just start picking. And I think there is a socio-economic social layer to that in general. Is that what you is consistent with what you found as well when you were making the film?
Yeah, another interesting thing is that if foraged from the right place, these suppos are like grown without pesticides. They're grown by lake beds, which are known to like have really good soil, right? Full of minerals and really good water. And if you think about it, it's much healthier per se, like or organic than what you would buy at a market, which is something to think about.
That's true. That's very true. I mean, we generally rotate between 10, 15 kinds of vegetables in our sort of city urban life. Very, very interesting. Do you think you plan on continuing work along this in the environmental sector or more work on soppos? What do you plan to do next?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, yes, everybody talks about climate change and the environment, and you see it, but what really drew me to making documentary films is how kind people have been to me. Like, they've let me into their homes, they've fed me. Yeah, I really enjoy looking at, say, the environment or culture through the lens of these people. So yeah, I have some of that planned. And besides that, I've been called back to my alma mater to teach a workshop. So that's where I'll be from Monday.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. I think that's a wonderful note to end on today. But I hope we can continue talking about this. It's been so lovely to have you, Ridah, and so lovely, Shaheen, that you could join us. I hope more and more people continue making environmental stories and really celebrate the diversity of food and recognize its place in our socioeconomic politics. Thank you guys once again, and thank you to Shaheen and Eternal Sunshine.
Thank you.
Thank you.